going on, my North County fam? I'm your girl Kelly, here to give you the rundown on what happened in St. Louis County government this week. And I'm going to get right into it, starting with a couple of highlights. So the first highlight I really wanted to mention was around the St. Louis County Police Department's collective bargaining agreement. So there was a committee of the whole meeting on Monday. Yes, on Monday, where the full council came together to discuss. There were a couple of pieces of legislation that, if passed, it would approve the police department's collective bargaining agreement. So what is this? And it's for short, I'm going to call it a CBA because that's a lot of syllables. So what is a CBA? So a CBA is a contract that literally it lays out how the police do their job. So this includes things such as, how much coin they're getting. It also just includes things when officers can take sick and vacation leave, when officers can get mental health testing. And it also includes what happens when a police officer does something wrong. So again, that's like a really, really super like quick blip overview. But I do want to plug the St. Louis Area Violence Prevention Commission. They have a lot of resources and information in a video about CBAs if you're interested. So check that out if you want to learn more about that. So, and that part, when what happens when an officer does something wrong. So is that part. I was kind of interested in, because if we rewind to December of 2020, there was a resolution passed by the county council that said, look, when it comes to these CBAs, y'all, the police department, you need to make sure that there are things in place that increase transparency of what's going on in the police department, really holds those officers that ain't doing what they supposed to be doing accountable. And it also, looking at oversight as well with the police department and making sure that the community and the public are also involved and engaged and can provide input during this process. So the resolution was passed by the council in December of 2020 saying, hey, if these things are included in the CBA and that process, then we have the power to not approve it. That's basically what the resolution said. So that's why, again, this meeting was interesting, as well as the legislation and all that. So what was in the CBA? So the CBA, there were a couple changes. So increases in pay, we're talking maybe 2 to 3%. There's also a change. So officers and those ranked as sergeants are kind of on the same schedule when it comes to updating the agreement, because I think it's like a 2-year window, and so they want to make sure that the process of getting these agreements approved and negotiations, all that, it happens at the same time for the officers as well as those classified as sergeants, just to make things easier when it comes to the process. And they also added in there an external mediator to work with the police department, as well as citizens that have complaints or issues in some way, shape, or form with their interaction with the police. So I will say the things that were mentioned in the resolution that the county council voted on, we're talking about increased accountability, transparency, community input, all of that. None of that stuff was included in the CBA. So Fitch and Trakish, really kind of lifted up, a couple of things concerning that, saying, hey, during the board, the police board meetings, there are opportunities for the public to comment and weigh in, is there not? And it's true, there is a time allotted for the public to make a comment. However, these board meetings are at like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. So what non-working person has the ability to provide their comment if they're at work? Yeah, but that's community engagement. Also, there was a point made that of the 2 million interactions that the police department has, around 40 complaints are made each year, which, I mean, 40 complaints out of 2 million interactions, that ain't bad. So clearly, the police department, they must be interacting well with the community. So again, 40 reported complaints a year. I just kind of want to make sure y'all know that reported complaints a year. So Tuesday night, something else I did want to mention before I fast forward to Tuesday night. So representatives present during the committee of the whole meeting said, look, as far as disciplining the police officers that are doing stuff that they ain't supposed to be doing, they ain't got nothing to do with the CBA. No, the representative there speaking said, look, as far as disciplining those bad police officers, that comes from the chief of police and the police board. Ain't got nothing to do with this CBA. So we ain't got no power in none of that. Okay, so that's what was mentioned. So fast forward to Tuesday night, last night, the bills approving the CBA, both of them were perfected, and they'll be up for final passage, I'm assuming, next week. And Councilwoman Clancy, she was the lone no vote with perfecting those pieces of legislation, approving the police department's CBA. The next highlight I wanted to mention, which I know y'all done already heard about it, but I'm going to mention it real quick, the vaccination mandate. So yes, the legislation, it was expedited from perfection to full final passage. And so again, to reiterate, this vaccination mandate is specific to St. Louis County employees. And if folks ain't checking to get the vaccine, then they have to be tested consistently. And then if they refuse to do that, then obviously, disciplinary process, whatever that entails. So this legislation, like I said, it was expedited from perfection, and it was up for final passage last night. And after a bit of discussion and some outbursts from the audience, I shouldn't laugh at this, but you literally had people yelling, "You murderers, you're committing a crime against humanity." You can hear it really clearly. Again, I watched via YouTube. And Chairwoman Days, again, during the process, them discussing, Councilwoman Webb, who introduced the bill, she gave her 2 cents, to close out before it was up for final passage. And then when it was passed, people just yelling all this stuff out. And Chairwoman Days, she just kept yelling, "Security! Security!" Chris Rock in the movie Head of State. And that was just what I kept, I don't know. I just kept thinking about that. Security! Mind you, no, they didn't just come up and just swipe the people away in the movie. But yeah, that's still in my head. Security! So, yes, in spite of all of that, the bill did pass. So Days, Dunaway, Webb, and Clancy voted yes, and Fitz, Tracus, and Harder voted no. But all in all, like I said, the bill was passed, which will require St. Louis County, those employed by St. Louis County, to get the vaccine mandate or be tested every week or 2 weeks. And I'm rounding it out with the legislative corner. So there were a few bills passed last night that I kind of wanted to mention. So there were 3 bills passed accepting grants to support the county's family court. So one accepts $58,000 to support the family court's drug court. Another one accepts about $324,000 to support the family court's juvenile court diversion program. And the third accepts around $38,000 to support information technology for the family court. And then there was another bill passed that will allow a change in zoning for sites like 3 acres, close to 3 acres, that is located at Lindbergh and Robbins Mill Road. And I mentioned this, I think, before after listening to a planning commission meeting to learn more about this project. So originally it was zoned for the nursery that was there. Now the new use for the site will be an indoor-outdoor event space with a wine tasting room, and food and retail sales will take place there as well. So that's all I have for you this week. Please stay safe out there, and you will see me soon. Peace, y'all.